Hello and welcome to Man, Woman, God. I'm Nikki Cauchi, your host for the show. On July the 7th, 2005, London experienced the worst bombings since the Second World War. With me is Cristina Rus to tell me about her experience of those bombings. Cristina, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here.
Cristina, what is your faith journey?
Well, I was born into a Christian family, and in '89 we made our journey from Romania over to Australia, and we loved it. I did my schooling here, and it's wonderful. I love Australia.
And so do you go to a church that...
Yes, to Faith Christian Church.
Okay, and you've always been at that church?
Yes, and it's pastored by Pastor Alan and Joanne Davis.
Okay. Now, Cristina, I want to know about the London bombings. So tell me, why and how did you go to London?
Well, I went to London to further my international career.
Mm-hmm.
I was in London between November 2004 and October 2005.
Okay, so tell me about the morning of July the 7th, 2005.
Yes, well, I got up and I had a shower, I had breakfast, and I said a quick prayer, please, God, go with me, go before me. And I missed my first train, and I waited for the second 7 minutes, and I got on. And at Baker Street, we were told to get off because something has happened to the train before. And we all got off, and probably 5,000 people got off all at once, taking alternatives ways of transport. And I took the bus. I was probably 30 minutes off the starting of the queue. And number 18 came first, which was the wrong bus. I had to walk to bus stations. So number 18 came. It ignored the beginning of the queue and stopped right in front of me. And I made a quick decision to get on, and I'll walk. And number 30, while it was filling up with people, number 30 came, and I was thinking twice to press on the button, get off, and jump onto number 30. But I said, no, I love walking, and just what's 2 stops? That's like nothing. And my work started at 9:30. While I got off number 18, we started going towards my workplace, and all of a sudden I've heard a blast, and we all turned behind us to see what was it coming. It was like a low bass note, and the earth moved. And also, there was police redirecting the traffic, no other cars through that portion because it was a tube station under. I went to work. I told my manager what happened to me, and she said, oh, she's delusional, and she turned away. And all of a sudden I've heard people making phone calls. I'm not coming because my bus is not going. I'm not coming because my train is not going. And it seemed a little bit funny. Since half of the office was empty, I went straight to BBC. I put in London, and I saw bus number 30 blown up, and I called my boss, showed what I found, and it was to be my bus, and she apologized. She disappeared for like half an hour, and she came back. She apologized some more. So I was in shock. After I called my mom, I called everybody that I knew to make sure that I'm well. And we were locked into the building until 3 o'clock. I was in shock. We were watching on TV everything that was going on.
So Christina, tell me what happened. So did you went and spoke to some friends as well, and you were talking to them about?
Yes. Well, I was in shock. I spoke very little after.
Okay.
And I made a plan in my mind how to get home, because we had to walk, and at 3 o'clock we were left to walk, and I saw a scene which would never leave my mind.
What did you see, Christina?
100 meters on the St. Pancras station, where the bombings have happened, have been closed off by a fence, and there's an old station, brick station, and I saw there from afar nobody, just an Orthodox priest sitting there just in the middle by itself. And then I realized that there are dead people down there, and we see dead people in the movies, but it's just not true, you know.
Wow, Christina, that was some powerful imagery. I think we all need to have a bit of a break, so we'll be back. We're going to come back with some more. Hello and welcome back. I'm speaking with Cristina Rus, who was in London at the time of the terrorist bombings in 2005. Christina, now you were telling me that you narrowly missed being bombed on a bus that you should have been on, but you decided to walk instead.
Yes.
Now, we were at a point of where you met with a friend after the bombings on the day, and we were having a cup of coffee with her.
Yes, she served me tea, and when I told her what happened to me, she suddenly started crying, and to me, I was still in shock. I just didn't realize why she was crying, and then sort of she would tell me, well, you weren't supposed to be here. Did you realize? And then I started crying, and then I had my tea, a sandwich, and I quickly left because I had like another hour to walk home. And God does give you such other things to focus on, not on the shock that you were. And I said, look, I have to go. I'll have to go home. And
so did you finally, was there a time that it actually hit you and you thought, oh my gosh, you know?
No, on Monday, after probably 4 days, I had a phone call that weekend. 3 friends from the US visited me, and then I sort of played a bit selfish, and I said, don't stay there, just come to London. I could do with such company. And they came, and on Monday morning I took them there, and I suddenly started crying. I was sobbing all the way.
So you showed your friends where the bombings were?
Yes, but I just didn't know, and I said, look, they wouldn't know what had happened to me, because it wasn't. I was shocked, and then when I saw them and flowers there, and I started crying, sobbing, and they said, well, why are you crying? You're still here. They couldn't understand why I went through to explain, and you have to remember, my family wasn't there. I was pretty busy after the bombing. Going home, I had an auntie from Israel calling me, an auntie from Romania, and
Christina, I want to actually get to a few weeks after that, because something really important happened to you.
Yes, 2 weeks after that Thursday, the terrorists wanted to bomb 4 buses, and there was a repeat of the whole thing. And I remember sitting on a bench on St. John's Wood, just wanting the Lord to come back then, and I was full of fear. And a week later, on a Saturday, I had a major stroke. So
and so what happened to you after that? Like, went to hospital?
Yes,
you had no family?
No, I had no family. A girl discovered me at 9 o'clock.
Were you at home?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And a girl discovered me, and her son wanted to go to the toilet, and she said, no, Christina's gone to the toilet, right? And she was knocking, but I didn't, my thinking was taken. I couldn't talk, I couldn't even make some noises, and she got very...
Christina, so just let me say, you were in hospital for how long in
Only
London?
for 2 weeks.
Okay, and did any of your family come and see
Yes,
you?
My mum and my brother came to see me, and
actually, Christina, your church paid for your mum and brother to come. Your church here in Melbourne.
Yes, they paid
right?
for my mum and for my sister-in-law 3 months later to come and take us.
To take you back, to bring you back home to Melbourne.
Yes. And the stroke happened on Saturday, and on Wednesday I had an MRI which showed that 3/4 of my left hemisphere was damaged, and that's like the frontal beat, which is my executive functions, and I had problems with planning. Okay,
so how long was your recovery, Christina?
I stayed in intensive therapy 2.5 years, and at the end I had a speech therapist testing me, and my vocabulary has come back 50% only.
Christina, I want to know, through all that time of having a stroke, being a Christian, what was your faith like with God? Were you angry with God that this had happened?
No, I wasn't angry, and more than anything I realized then that God doesn't give trials of the persons who know they can't, they crumble.
Yes.
They crumble. And secondly, there was a hope at the morning I had the stroke, a hope that it surpasses my understanding. And all the way I was in hospital, I ignored everybody, all the doctors, and I said, I'm going to be well. I was thinking, I'm going to be well, I'm going to be well, I'm going to be well. And that's all I thought. It took me like 2 weeks for the nurses to take an okay out of, yes or no out of my mouth, because I would say, okay, well, not really, but okay.
Now, Christina, I just want to know, have you fully recovered?
No, and I've learned not to put limitations on me. I was the right side paralyzed, and at the moment I'm doing a personal training course for me, just not to put any limitations on me, and that's a blessing that I could do that course.
Christine, I want to thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. It's an amazing story, and I want to say well done on your recovery and your continual recovery. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
We'll be back in a minute with our resident pastor, James Layton.
Hi, I'm James Layton and I'm the pastor from Encore Church in Hawthorn. I wanted to unpack an idea for you today about our understanding of God and something I see. My journey with God over the years has been a little bit like a roller coaster and it's had many different seasons, the ways in which I see God. And I think one of the ways I've settled with really well over the years, and it just sits in my heart nicely, is I really believe God is a whole lot more like a loving father than a harsh judge. I'm a father myself. I've got 3 children. I learn a lot about God from being a father. I think we're made in God's image and we're like him. So there's things I do in fathering that I know God does with me. And it's interesting when you think about it. I'm not sure if you've got kids, but if you do, did you have those kids on purpose? We had kids on purpose. They weren't accidental. And there's a reason for that. Some people believe God is a harsh judge and wants to punish them. I didn't have my kids because I didn't have anything to punish or because I wanted someone in my world to punish. That's a ridiculous idea. And I think that mindset about God's a little bit ridiculous too. There's something in me that has love to give. And we had kids because we want to love them. Sure, every now and then I've got to put my disciplinarian hat on and I've got to bring discipline. But it's out of love. It's not out of punishment and judgment. It's because I love my kids and if you look at the span of my whole life, it's a very small percentage of time that I would spend as a disciplinarian, as a father. I think I spend a whole lot of my time more as a loving father than anything else. So what if God sees you that way? I think it's very easy to misunderstand God. If you look at take for example, God's capacity for mercy and forgiveness. I think about how much I've been forgiven for, and I think it's incredible. Just his actual capacity to show us love and mercy. And when you think about what you've been forgiven for, when I think about what I've been forgiven for, I really start to see God's heart for mercy. And I think there's a reason for that, if I can understand it. I really think when God looks at me, he goes, James, I know why you are the way you are. I know your life. I know what's happened to you. I know you were born in my image. You were perfect when you were born. You were innocent. And stuff's happened to you along the way. There's been lies that you've been told. There's mindsets. There's been traumatic instances. You are the way you are for a reason. And I don't blame you for that. That's how I can show you forgiveness. A good way to understand it, I'll give you a metaphor if it helps. Imagine a 2-year-old child. Let's call her Lucy. She's a 2-year-old child. She's at the shopping centre with her parents. And she feels safe, she feels loved, she feels secure. She hasn't got a care in the world. And they're shopping, and next thing little Lucy looks around and her parents are gone. She can't see them. What happens to us? Have you ever been lost at the shops or lost at the show? What happens? Fear comes on you. You go from this place of feeling safe and secure to just feeling insecure and unsafe. And I believe in the spiritual sense, we're born like this. I believe we're born spiritual orphans. We're disconnected from God right from the start. And his plan from the beginning of time is to adopt us and to bring us into love, to show us that love. But think little Lucy, she can't find her parents, she's lost, she's fearful. What if that goes on for hours? What if she's lost for days? And what if those days turn into weeks and those weeks turn into years? What if little Lucy never grows up into adult Lucy and she's never seen her parents since that day at the shops? It's a horrific thought, right? Could you blame Lucy for anything she does from that little girl onwards, trying to find that source of love and security that she once had with her parents? She's going to look everywhere for it, and she's going to end up making some silly decisions and doing stupid things and looking for that love and acceptance anywhere she can find it. Can you blame her for that? Is it really her fault if she ends up hurt and twisted and broken? See, God knows why we are the way we are. That's how come he can forgive us. I want to unpack something from the Bible, if you let me read. It's a short verse. It's from Luke chapter 6, and it's Verse 35, it's Jesus speaking. Jesus says, "But love your enemies and do good to them, and lend to them without expecting anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you'll be sons of the Most High, because He is kind to the ungrateful and wicked." God's kind to the ungrateful, people that don't reciprocate. "Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful." See there, Jesus is showing the heart of His Father. God is merciful. He says, "Do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Forgive and you will be forgiven." See, I believe part of God's adoptive plan, when He adopts you as a son or a daughter, He's bringing you into His household. In the same way, if I wanted to adopt a child from Africa, I would bring that child into my household. That child would find themselves in a loving home, eating nice food at a nice school, and yet that child hasn't really done anything to earn or deserve that. It was my choice to adopt that child. It was my choice to love that child and bring him or her into my household. And when God does that with you, there's some adjustments to make. And one of those things is when God takes you from an earthly household into the kingdom of heaven household, part of the governance of heaven is mercy. I believe the governance of earth is justice, and the governance of heaven is mercy. And God says, this is not a both-and situation. You have to choose. Do you want justice? Because if you want to be someone who offers justice, you're going to receive justice. If you want mercy, then you got to offer mercy. We can't be people who receive forgiveness and mercy yet offer everyone else justice. It just doesn't work that way. And one of the ways I could challenge you to do that is look at someone you know, maybe someone that's hurt you, and understand maybe it's not all their fault. Maybe they're just, that person that hurt you is little Lucy at the shops and they're just looking, hurting people hurt people, and maybe you can find it in your heart to forgive. And I'll be back in another season, or another episode later in the season, and I'll give you some tools on just how you can actually forgive people, because I've worked through some stuff that's helped me. Thanks for listening.
Well, that's all we have for today on Man, Woman, God. Thank you so much for joining us, and God bless you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.